What if I told you that everything you believe about your limits is a lie? That the pain you feel, the exhaustion you carry, the moment you think, I can't go on, it's not the end, but just the beginning. Tonight, you're not just gonna hear a speech, you're about to step into a battlefield, the battlefield of your mind. This is not for the weak, this is not for the ones looking for comfort. This is for the ones ready to discover the truth about their power. We're going deep into the 40% rule, the raw, unfiltered reality David Goggins lived through, and what science, faith, and pain all agree on. You've barely scratched the surface of who you truly are. And as we unlock the science behind your mental limits, we'll journey into the timeless verses of the Quran, verses that predicted human resilience, mental transformation, and divine strength long before neuroscience gave it a name. This isn't motivation. This is a mission to wake up the warrior inside of you. Because if you quit now, you'll never know the power that's already within you. So don't blink, don't scroll, don't leave. The next few minutes might just change the way you live the rest of your life. Let's begin. David Goggins' 40% rule stands as one of the most shocking truths about human potential ever spoken by a man forged in fire. It's not just motivational talk. It's not just a quote on a poster or a fancy mantra designed to make you feel good for a few seconds. No, the 40% rule is a brutal awakening, a slap in the face to comfort, a roaring call to war against weakness. Goggins says that when your mind is screaming, your body is burning, and your heart is pounding so hard you feel like it's going to explode, when you want to quit more than you want to breathe, that's just 40%. That means you've still got 60% more inside of you. That means the best of you hasn't even come out yet. And most people die without ever meeting that version of themselves. They die at 40% thinking they gave their all, but they never scratched the surface of who they could have been. The 40% rule is a savage truth. It exposes how weak the mind can be, how easily it settles, how quickly it folds under pressure. But it also reveals how powerful we can become if we choose to keep going. You see, the mind is designed to protect you. It's built for survival, not greatness. The moment you enter discomfort, the moment pain begins to rise, the mind steps in and says, stop. Turn back. This is dangerous. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your purpose. It only cares about keeping you alive. But staying alive and truly living are two completely different things. Goggins learned that from experience. He didn't grow up strong. He didn't have advantages. He was abused, rejected, broken, and labeled dumb. But the moment he decided not to listen to that internal voice telling him to quit, he unlocked something most people never discover. A version of himself that could run through pain, survive hell weeks, and even break records. Why? Because he didn't stop at 40%. He broke past it again and again. And when he hit 50%, he didn't stop there. When he reached 70%, he kept moving. He embraced suffering. He used pain as his fuel. The 40% rule isn't just about pain. It's about identity. Most people have no idea who they really are because they've never been pushed far enough to find out. What's dangerous about the 40% rule is how true it is for everyone. It's not unique to Navy SEALs. It's not exclusive to athletes or ultra-endurance freaks. It's for the mother fighting cancer, the student facing depression, the man battling addiction, the woman rebuilding her life after betrayal. Everyone hits a wall. Everyone hears that voice telling them, you're done. But that voice is lying. It's whispering fear in a loud world. And if you believe it, you settle. But if you fight it, if you dare to move one step further when your whole being is begging you to stop, that's where power begins. That's where change lives. That's where purpose reveals itself. Goggins didn't discover the 40% rule by reading a book. He discovered it by living through hell. He failed over and over again, and each time he got stronger. He ran on broken legs, trained through sickness, pushed past fear, not because he was fearless, but because he refused to let fear dictate his limits. Pain became his teacher. Discipline became his weapon. and the mind became his battlefield. Scientists now back what Goggins experienced firsthand. Neuroscience has shown that the human brain has what's called a central governor system, a mental limiter that kicks in when the brain senses danger or exhaustion. It sends signals to your body saying, slow down, you're tired, you can't go further. But studies have proven that this system is more protective than accurate. It underestimates what the body can do that overreacts to discomfort. In short, your brain is programmed to quit long before your body's actually finished. And that's not just psychological, it's physiological. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. But if you train it, you can rewire it. Goggins isn't just running on willpower. He's retrained his brain through repetition, discipline, and exposure to suffering. That's why the 40% rule is more than a mindset. It's biology in action. It's the intersection of science and self-mastery, and it proves that the limits we believe in are really real. Imagine how different your life would be if you understood that your limits were lies. If every time you felt like quitting, you remembered that you were only at 40%. Imagine running your last mile and realizing it's just the beginning. Imagine facing heartbreak, betrayal, or failure. Instead of breaking, you bend and come back harder. That's the power of this rule. It reframes pain. It redefines what's possible. And it forces you to confront the truth. You are more than you think. The problem is, most people don't want to hear that. Because if you admit you've got more in the tank, if you admit that 60% of your power is still locked away, then you've got no excuse to quit. And excuses are comfortable. They let you stay weak and still feel justified. But greatness doesn't grow in comfort. It's forged in fire. And the 40% rule lights the match. People walk around with dreams they'll never chase, goals they'll never reach, strength they'll never touch. Not because they're incapable, but because they stopped at the wall. They hit the first wave of pain and sat down. They faced the first failure and gave up. But the wall isn't the end. It's the test. It's the door. And only those willing to bleed, suffer, and endure will find the key to unlock the next level of themselves. The 40% rule is that key. It tells you, you are not done. You are not finished. You are barely getting started. You've got 6 more gears. But you've got to be willing to burn through the first one to get there. Goggins knows this better than anyone. He's not a superhuman. He's a man who decided to stop listening to lies. Lies about his limits, lies about his worth, lies about what was possible. What makes this rule so terrifying and so inspiring is that it puts the responsibility on you. No more blaming your past, no more blaming your parents, your genetics, your boss, your economy, your circumstances. It's on you. You decide whether you'll stop at 40% or push further. You decide if pain will break you or build you. You decide if your mind is a cage or a weapon. And once you understand that, you stop being a victim. You become dangerous. Because a person who's tapped into that remaining 60% is unstoppable. That's why Goggins is feared, admired, and often misunderstood. He's not selling comfort. He's not here to coddle. He's here to show you a mirror and say, this is what you could be if you stopped. Stop it. This rule changes how you see effort. Most people think giving their best means giving whatever feels difficult. But difficulty is relative. What feels hard at 40% is nothing compared to what you can endure at 60%, 70%, even 90%. Your best isn't found in what's easy. It's revealed when you go further than you thought possible. That's why Goggins' story hit so deep. He didn't achieve greatness because life was kind. He achieved it because he met pain with persistence. He used failure as fuel. And he discovered that every single time he thought he had reached his breaking point, he still had more to give. So he gave it again and again until giving more became his identity, until discomfort became his comfort zone. The 40% rule applies to every arena of life: fitness, business, relationships, faith. In all of them, we face resistance, we face hardship, and in all of them, most people quit too early. They leave the race while they're still full of potential. They stop digging when they're inches from gold. But the ones who win, The ones who truly live are the ones who keep going, even when it hurts, even when no one believes, even when the voice in their head screams quit, they whisper back, not yet. That's the essence of the 40% rule. It's not about being reckless, it's about being relentless. It's not about pretending pain isn't real. It's about knowing pain is the price of transformation. You don't grow in the shallow end. You grow when you dive into the deep, when you run through the storm, when you embrace the fire. Goggins said that the real battle is in the mind. The body will follow, but the mind is the general. If you train it to quit, it will lead you to weakness. If you train it to fight, it will lead you to power. That's why this rule is brutal. It demands training daily. It's not a one-time push. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment to never settling, to waking up every day and choosing to be better. Not because you feel like it, but because you made a promise to yourself. And keeping that promise is what separates the average from the elite. The 40% rule isn't about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about mastery. Mastery over fear. Mastery over weakness. Mastery over your own mind. And once you've mastered that, there's nothing the world can throw at you that you won't overcome. It all comes down to one question. When you think you're done, when everything in you says stop, will you? Or will you dig deeper? Will you find that hidden 60%? Will you meet the version of you that's waiting on the other side of pain? Because that version is not a dream. It's not fantasy, it's real. But it's only revealed to those who don't stop at 40%. The brutal truth is this: most people will live and die at 40% of their true potential. They'll listen to the voice in their head that says, I can't, I'm tired, I've had enough, and they'll believe it. But that voice is a liar. It's fear disguised as logic. It's comfort pretending to be safety. And unless you challenge it, unless you train your mind to break through it, you'll never know who you could have been. David Goggins didn't become a legend because he was stronger than everyone else. He became a legend because he refused to quit when everything inside him screamed, stop. And science now confirms what his suffering revealed. The human body and mind are built to endure far more than we've been led to believe. The 40% rule isn't just a theory, it's a wake-up call. The Quran says, indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. That change begins the moment you stop listening to weakness and start obeying purpose. That change begins the moment you decide that pain won't stop you, it will build you. That change begins when you stop living as a fraction of yourself and begin unlocking the rest. So to everyone watching, hear this. The next time you think you've reached your limit, remember, it's just your 40%. You've got more. You were made for more. Don't let your potential rot inside you. Don't let your story end halfway through. Get up, go again. Break the limit, rewrite the standard. Be uncommon, be unbreakable. Be the one who didn't stop when others did. Your greatness is not ahead of you, it's already in you. Buried beneath pain, fear, and doubt. Dig it out, chase it down, and don't ever stop at 40%. Good luck on your journey. May you conquer your mind, defeat your limits, and become who you were born to be. Thank you for listening, and never forget, stay hard.